हरीश सर को फॉरवर्ड किया ना?
हाँ नहीं, पर मैं फैबियो को ईमेल करूँ कैसे? Fabio is here.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good afternoon. One second.
Yes, good afternoon, yes.
Okay. I can't hear you, sir. One second. No, one second. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Hello. So there's an update. The last session is still going on, and it will take a couple of more minutes to end. So we
Yes,
are
yes. Harish just wrote me and told me that we are a quarter of an hour later.
Yeah, 15 minutes
Yeah.
delayed. So we can begin by 2:15.
All right. Shall I just wait here in the room?
Yeah, you can, we can do a trial for your screen sharing. That is up to.
Okay, yes. No, I can't share. You have to
Yeah, I'll do that.
facilitate me, yes, please.
Yeah, I enabled that.
Okay. Okay. Can you see it full screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Full screen, no, I can see the top bar actually. Multimedia, commento, tabella.
I don't know how to eliminate it. Because when I make full screen, I don't see my mouse anymore. So you see this bar, right? You see a bar in the middle.
Yeah, the top most bar, keynote live and
Yeah,
collaborate.
that's the Zoom bar. I don't know how to eliminate it.
That's okay. I think we can make do with it. That's not a problem.
I will just, no, I can't move it anywhere. It doesn't go away.
That's all right. It's okay. Not a problem. What I think you will have to do is there, I do not understand the language here, but is there an option for view? The tool for view. So if you go in view, there will be an option of full screen.
On my computer.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I just did it before. You see it full screen now?
Yeah, I think this is fine. Not a problem. The top bar still remains, but I think that's all right. That's in the background, so we can work with that.
What's the best position for the bar?
I think no, this is fine. This is great.
Okay.
All good.
I will just leave it like this, okay?
So you can stop screen sharing and we'll wait on the link. And there are no videos in this presentation, right? Are there any videos? Okay, so not a problem then. We'll wait for a while on the link. We begin at 2:15. 1 second.
Okay.
So just a reminder, do not switch off your camera or video when you share screen.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's about it. So I think we have a break of say 15, 18 minutes and we can then begin.
No problem. Sorry, another question. If
Yes,
I
sir.
do no, I cannot do it. Sorry. Okay, never mind.
This is keynote, right?
Yes.
I'll search online. Click choose view, enter full screen from the menu bar at the top of the screen is what it says.
Yeah, it's the presentation mode.
That's it, I think. What is keynote line?
I tried, but it's something related to iCloud, so I
Okay.
don't. It doesn't apply now.
I think this will work. That's all right.
Yeah. Okay. As long as the titles are visible, but they are quite big, so I think it's no problem.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's in the very top part. Can you see the title?
Yeah, playfulness rating,
Okay.
motivation, framing, control, everything. Clearly.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Thanks for support.
Most welcome, sir. So I'll be on the link. Um,
By the way, sorry, you're going to record this session?
yes, it is being recorded. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Harisha will just join us, and I think we are ready to go in 3-4 minutes. Yeah, he's here.
I wanted to ask you, shall I have a timer visible on my screen, or I will put it myself?
Ciao Fabio, come stai?
Hi, Arish. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. There shall be no timer as such, but in case there, like I told you, you're good to go for an hour and a half. You know, 40. That's what we had. But if there is a thing that comes up, I'll probably give you a cue of this sort. But the cue would only you would be seen. You would only be able to see me. You will not be projected on the actual relay. I mean, I will not be projected on the actual relay.
So we have a lot of time.
We have time. We have time. Please take your time, and we shall go on a relaxed pace.
Okay. Okay.
Fair enough. So we go live in like.
I will be, because here is morning, so.
I'm sorry.
And for you is after lunch, right? Harish?
Yes, it's post lunch for us.
Okay. So it's good to be relaxed some way.
We've not had lunch, Fabio. Have you had your breakfast?
Yes, of course.
Fabio, you can stop screen sharing right now. I'll do the introductions and then we can get back on.
Okay. So you will share the screen?
No, you shall share the screen, but after the introduction. Once I finish the introduction, then you can.
All right. Yeah, that's right.
ऐसे है यहाँ पे देखो ऐसे यहाँ पे आता है 'So we go live in like a minute, 1 minute.
Okay.
10 seconds.
What a suspense.
I know.
Don't tell me, just go.
No, yeah. There's your intro video that's going on the live thing. You're live. Okay. After a wonderful panel discussion with 3 architects.
I'm just kidding.
Fabio, we go live. We're live now. Okay. So after a wonderful session, a panel discussion with architect Rana Parekh, architect Pavan, architect Shweta Moni, and myself, we move on to a very interesting and exciting session of the day with Fabio Guaricci. Fabio Guaricci is a professional inventor, designer, passionate about toys and educational products, and skilled in design strategy and project management. In 2015, after more than 10 years as a freelancer, cooperating for companies like Happy, Luciana Giocchi, and Milani Wood, as well as institutions like Politecnico di Milano, Healthcare Agency of Milan, and the Trentino Autism Foundation, he founded TOY, his studio, a Milan-based invention and design firm specializing in services for the toy industry. After a diploma in humanities, he achieved a master's in industrial design with honors at Politecnico di Milano in 2006. A couple of years before I had, 2006 is also when I had joined Politecnico for my master's, my alma mater. And in the meantime, he was an exchange student for 1 year at the product design department at NTNU in Trondheim, Norway. His creative and yet analytical attitude expresses in his design methodology that is as close to playfulness as to marketing goals. Since 2010, he has been part of the teaching staff of the Co-Meta Lab at Politecnico di Milano, currently contract professor experimenting with the potentials of meta design practices in the field of children with ASD. He is a member of LUDI, Play for Disability, European Network of Researchers and Practitioners around the theme of the right to play and inclusion, and IPA, International Play Association. Lately, Fabio has launched Toy Design Academy, a one-to-one coaching program open to anyone who is willing to learn how to create and sell toy ideas to companies in a fast, effective, and professional way. He is joining us today about designing toys in an educational and emotional frame. I now welcome Fabio to share his presentation. Over to you, Fabio.
Thank you, Guaricci. First of all, I want to say that it's a real pleasure for me to be with you, to be your guest. I really have India in my heart, really, because I went to India and I really loved the people. I really believe in on your side for this. Because you are a people that has, you know, a different vision on life. And I think this is very important today, that we are open, we can open to different points of view on life, possibly a vision that is make us feeling more, you know, feel part of this world, feel part as just, you know, one world, one people. We are all together and we are here to try to do something better than what we have, you know, found. And today we really need this. So let's keep this chance.
I would have really wanted to host you here in India, like I'd mentioned. And thank you very much for accepting our invitation at very short notice. Is he stuck?
My pleasure. Share the screen now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Harish?
Yeah, it's visible. All good. The screen's visible. All good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to start with this presentation is about designing toys in an educational and emotional frame. I'm your host, Fabio Guaricci. I'm the founder and creative director of Toy Design. So first of all, I'm going to go briefly about my career. Sorry if I read, but I have to be short. I want to be short. I don't want to annoy. At the beginning of my career, my vision of design of toys was especially design oriented. You can see on the very top left part. You see Tondotti, you see Bigusto, so you see a kind of products of toys that are really starting from a design point of view, really thinking about the aesthetic and the formal identity of those toys. And that's because I had the chance to manage the startup of the Italian wooden toys brand Milani Wood, that made me understand what it's like to produce, communicate, and sell toys, beside, of course, designing them. Okay, so I had the chance to really see the full circle of what it's like to be into the toy business. So when I founded Toy Design in 2015, I realized I wanted to find a point of balance between the needs of this very special industry and what I wanted to say on toys. Okay. So of course, at the beginning, there was a lot of work finding this right year by year, experiment after experiment, toy fair after toy fair, and conference after conference. This vision had formed. And this allowed me also to give the right space to those two very different dimensions. The dimension of the being part of this industry, which is a fast-paced industry. It's a low-budget industry. It's a plastic-based industry. We have to say that mostly. And on the other hand, give space to experimentation, to research. And this is the other, let's say, half of my personality, of my professional personality, which is also connected to my activity at Politecnico di Milano, which is the research, is to find new ways, new approaches on education. Okay. My passion for academic education started early. Just 4 years after graduation, I was in the teaching staff at Politecnico. Today, I'm contract professor and design leader of toy-oriented workshops. Lately, I have launched the Toy Design Academy, which you find on the last part, bottom right. And to coach young design professionals, but not only, also psychologists that want to approach the toy market, or they have ideas on toys, and who are willing to sell their toy ideas in this market. Okay, let's go now with the presentation. So basically, we are going through three main sessions of this presentation. The first is going to be about educational goals in toys. The second is playfulness in toys. So what is playfulness? How we can rate it? How we can understand if a toy is playful? And the third one is the emotional goals in toys. Very, very important. Okay, let's start with the first, educational goals. When it comes to educational goals, we have to make a differentiation. We can have a cognitive dimension and we can have a social dimension. Those two dimensions are very different, but very important to consider when we are designing a toy. So let's start with the cognitive dimension. Cognitive dimension means that it's something that is involving the senses, something that is involving how the child is interacting with this toy. And the social dimension, so we can have the symbolic play, the constructive play, and the role play. The other one is the social dimension. Social dimension, we can have a solitary play, we can have parallel play, we can have associative play, and we can have cooperative play. We're going to go through all of those in the next minutes. Just let me say that, of course, each cognitive type, symbolic play, can be performed at different social levels. So each cognitive typology is linked to a different social dimension. So like this, you can understand how wide are the possibilities and how good is to have this kind of taxonomy, because in this way we can really decide upfront the kind of engagement that we want to achieve. especially in context where we have, for example, we want to create inclusion, in context where we want um, um, to make, for example, disabled children to interact with the normotype children. Okay. Okay, let's start with the symbolic play. In the symbolic play, children basically are used, I'm sure everybody of you have seen this. So children are basically using a general object, an object that usually is something else, as it was something that they want to be in their own imagination. So, for example, to use a banana as a phone. And this is called technically pretend play. So they are pretending they are in this reality suspension, which is very powerful, another very powerful way to engage children, and start make-believe activities. The second typology is constructive play. Okay, everything that allows children to use little bits and construct bigger things to form a whole and a specific goal for the play, which can at the end also involve the pretend play, of course, maybe not in this case. The third is the role play. We are involving rules, and when it comes to rules, I like to say this. When we have toys, we really are speaking about basically three main, we can call them drivers, we can call them dimensions. Okay, the first dimension is the goal. Every play activity has a goal. The second is the rule. Okay, everything that allows the rule, allows the game to be successful, to bring the players to the goal. Okay, and the third one is the chance. The chance and the chance and the goal themselves together can be a game. You can think about any kind of play activity that is involving, for example, dice. Okay, you throw the dice, and that's the chance factor. Chance factor is very important, and it's very fun for children as well, especially in when they are 4 years old. You can see many toys in this preschool age, and they really enjoy it. As they grow, of course, we also have the rule, but rule are something more mental. Okay, at least when we think about, for example, board games. But let's not forget that the rules can also be physical. Also, the physical features of a toy can be a rule. For example, I can take this toy. Okay, we have a rope. Okay, this is a rule. It's a physical rule, and this rule is guaranteeing the result. Because if I wouldn't have this, the game wouldn't be played in the same way. So I like to have this rule, but it's not something that I need to say. I just have to play, and I see that this is the rule. Okay, let's go to the social dimension. The first step of the social dimension is the solitary play, of course. It's when the child is alone and independent and doesn't really care of what's happening around. Even if there's other people, there are other peers playing, he's just focused in his own or her own activity. This is the first step. The second step is the parallel play, and this happens when children are playing independently, so they are doing their own construction, for example, but there's they're sharing the same time, they are in the same place, and the same kind of activity. Okay, so maybe they are not really sharing the pieces, they are using the same, they're taking pieces from the same place, but basically they are carrying on with two different play activities. I mentioned is associative play. This is when the children do separate activities. A lot of sharing, and maybe one girl with the best, she's waiting for the other girl to finish with the oven. Okay, and so they're doing different things, but they are blending. They are sharing the same play setting. And of course, the third and the fourth and last and the most engaging on the social side dimension is the cooperative play. And that's where they both have the same goal in the play. In the picture, we see a perfect pretend play activity, the doctor, but they are able to differentiate the roles. So they are in their own story, they are in their own reality, and they have a lot of fun. This is so fun for them. Okay, let's go to playfulness. I'm gonna be a little technical here, but we need that. First of all, let's give a definition on play. So play is a range of voluntary, intrinsically motivated activities. Normally, this is the Garvey definition. I just want to point out that two words in this definition. The first word is voluntary, okay? Voluntary means that nobody's telling them to do it. And this is very important when it comes to play activities that are conceived upfront for educational goals. When it comes to educational goals, we really want children to learn, but we can't just tell them, do this. Okay, we have to find a way they are motivated in starting that activity. Okay, and the second is the pleasure, the enjoyment. And this definition of pleasure can be very pleasure. It can be physical pleasure. It can be anything that can be related to pleasure. Okay. So let's start with the definition. Shark and Bundy define these four main drivers for defining a playfulness rating. The first one is the motivation, and this is what we just talked about. Second one is the framing. Third one is the control, and the fourth one is the reality suspension, just like we saw previously in the cooperative play. Okay, let's start with the motivation. Motivation means intrinsic motivation. They are involved in an activity by themselves. They don't need an external reward. They are engaged. They are totally engaged in this activity and motivated in going forward. Understand what they can do and what they cannot do. And this is specifically related to the social dimension and how they can interact with each other. Then there's the control. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, we had an interruption. I'm just going forward.
Okay.
So far, the audio is okay?
It's perfect. It's fine.
Okay, I'll go forward.
Yeah.
All right. So we were speaking about control. Control means that there is some kind of, sorry, I have a problem with the sorry, 1 second. I need to reduce the window because otherwise. Okay. Okay, here we are. Okay, control meaning by that there's internal control. Okay, they know what they are capable to do, and they feel what they can do, and this really gives them the sense also of power, a sense of power, a sense of control. Let's just highlight the fact that children are basically for them feel powerful. Everything that make them feel, they like that a lot. So when they are able to suspend reality, they can really think that they can be anything else. They really can have no bounds and no constraints that they normally have in the reality. Okay, let's go now to the emotional goals. This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part because it really is the way toys like the Rubik's Cube, the yo-yo, the hula hoop, had the success. This is the real, let's say, the real, okay. But pride, of course, self-esteem. They want to be proud of themselves. They want to feel that they are good. Okay, and this that can come from different directions that can be the mastery, for example, when they are able to do something, when they are good at doing something. For example, to play the yo-yo is not easy at the beginning. It keeps some time to learn. So in the moment that they accomplish the goal of become master, that really is triggering the pride, that really is triggering the self-esteem. And of course, it's also involving other people to watch them. So this becomes a virtuous circle, really a virtuous circle. Okay, what else? Mental physical development. Of course, they like to see that they are improving. They like to see that they become able, for example, to go skates. They like it. They like it. They like to see that they are able to kick the ball in the web, for example. The control is important. They feel they have the control. They feel that even if they are limited on the physical, they might be limited on the physical development or mental development. The play activity, it can be framed into something that they can control. This make them feel powerful, as we said before. So it creates a sense of empowerment. When it comes to empowerment, we will also see that this is not only related to mastery activities, so activities where they have to become good. It can also be connected to creativity and beauty, because if they manage to create something beautiful, of course they will be proud. Of course they will grab attention of adults. Of course they will feel appreciated. So very, very, very important. I'm gonna go through the next one and in the next examples, so we don't just go too theoretical here. First of all, I want to point out before the examples 4 main categories that we can speak about when it comes to creating toys on an emotional point of view. We have to think that children, through toys and games, they are transforming themselves. This is what we were talking before. We were saying that children are basically dependent, okay, from adults. Adults are taking care of them. Adults are feeding them. Adults are giving them clothes. Adults are giving them love. So basically they are dependent, okay? And this, of course, has a lot of consequences that we can also see as adults. But what is relevant here to say is that we can have different kinds of transformation through toys. The first category of transformation is creating a master. So we make the child become a master at doing something. The second one is creating a creator. And this happens when they have a toy that allows them to create something that can be visual, for example, or it can be three-dimensional. Third category is creating a nurturer. That means creating somebody that is taking care of somebody else. Think about teddy bears, for example. And the fourth one is creating an emulator. Allowing the child to transform in that action figure, to transform in that character they really love, they really share the values with, and so forth. Those are some examples just to understand what we are talking about. We could say the Rubik's Cube is a good example of mastery. They have to learn how to use it, and this is a hard example. Okay, a yo-yo maybe is easier. Second category is the creating a creator. And we have the Spirograph, which is a very old game. It's from 1965, but very, very cool because it allows children just to put the pen in a hole and turn and create amazing I do it myself. It's so fun. And first category is the nurturer. We have spoken already about the teddy bear. And the fourth is the creating an emulator. And the perfect example is the Barbie. And then now we're going to see some examples of creating a master. The yo-yo was invented in 1930, in the 30s, from Duncan. And the cool thing of this toy is, first of all, its simplicity. It really triggered a whole a cultural movement. It really felt like they invented a toy that was cheap, that was for everybody, and it gave a very big range of mastery possibilities. Let's think that we already see. I remember in 2018, I went to Chicago at CHITAG, which is a very, very nice conference fair. I suggest everybody to go there because it's very nice. But we were challenging on yo-yo, and so think how much potential can be, how powerful can be a toy that is kind of setting. On the picture on the left, you can see this man that was showing off how he could play the yo-yo. So, and this is very important to say because he is an adult with the suit and everything, and he's playing the yo-yo. And at that time in the 30s, men were very serious. Men were, you know, they weren't really, I don't want to say allowed to play, but certainly it's a good example of how revolution. Second example is an example related to play for keeps. Play for keeps means that when you play and then you lose, you might lose some bits. And this is the very best example on this category is the marble game. The marble game is one of the most ancient games we have in history, and it's played everywhere in the world. But what is, of course, it's involving mastery because the children have to be good at throwing the marble and not lose his or her marbles. So really the key here is the risk, is the thrill. So there's the mastery, but there's also the thrill. In the yo-yo, you don't have the thrill. You are not afraid to lose the yo-yo, okay? at least in the normal play setting. This risk feature, the mastery and the risk feature, is very visible also today. Let's think about the way they are playing, for example, in Pokemon. Okay, everybody, I think everybody remembers how engaging was the Pokemon Go when it was issued. All the world was playing Pokemon Go. And that's because the very key was to find those characters and so the mastery, but also the play for keeps, because those characters are challenging with each other, and eventually if one lose, that is going to go in the pocket of the winner. Okay, so it's play for keeps, purely play for keeps, of course with the story attached. First example is creating a master is the hula hoop. Hula hoop is from the 60s, before a little before the 60s, last years of the 50s. And here they had to be very good in doing it, and of course there's a very powerful show-off effect when they start becoming good at doing the hula hoop, which is not easy. I don't know if you have tried, but I tried. It's not easy. You know, you have to be good. You have to train a little bit, and in the end, you show off because your body's really moving in a weird way. So you have to overcome even your fears of showing off. That's not something very common. Another example is of course the frisbee. The frisbee is really old as well, but the inspiration came from this frisbee pie tin from these baking companies. Kids were really throwing those tins, and so it really was kind of spontaneous. And then when Wim Ho patented and created this toy in the before the 60s, it was of course a blockbuster. We had the championship, the World Frisbee Championship of 1979. This is the official frisbee. It gives you the sense of how powerful are those play patterns, and how they managed to trigger also what is technically called, the Vecchio calls technically playful marketing, meaning by that they made tournaments, and the tournaments themselves are very good marketing for toys, for the toy market, because they are spontaneous, they engage people, and today we all know how important is engagement, how important is followers. Followers are basically money. We can see it with the influencer industry and so forth. So good audience is good business. The Rubik's Cube, of course. Rubik's Cube is from the 80s, so it comes later. It has physical rules because you can do only a certain moves. I remember I was cheating on it because I had a version with stickers. So I really was, I was feeling kind of sad, I used to say, because I was kind of not doing my job, but you know, it's very hard. It's very hard. Sometimes I see videos of people doing it in a few seconds, and I'm like, okay, you win. But the thing is, we have something that hasn't order, and we are putting it with a certain order, with an order that we want to do. And also we have a big tension between, this is also similar to the yo-yo, maybe, if we want. We have a simple object, but very complex. And this may become it a blockbuster to start the tournaments. And today still we have tournaments in Rubik's Cube speed, and we have more version of the Rubik's Cube. So big blockbuster. Okay, we enter in the creator, creating a creator category. We're going to see some toys that are useful for children to transform themselves into something else, something that is related to become creatives. And in this case, for example, in the case of Crayola crayons from the early years of 20th century, think that they weren't there. So what today we can see, okay, crayons, okay, colors and so forth, but it wasn't there before 1903. So think how big was how revolutionary was this to create, to make them to make children feel like they were artists, they were they were able to create something beautiful, or just seem to express themselves by color and shapes on a piece of paper. They're easy to use. They don't turn to just create self-expression. Okay, really another blockbuster. It's the Etch a Sketch from 1959, and this is a little different because children are not grabbing something. They are not grabbing a crayon, but they are using handles. And this is very interesting because the Etch a Sketch creates an artist, because the goal, as we were saying before, the goal is to create. But we have a physical rule of the handles, and this is on one hand is a limitation, of course, but on the other hand allows all the children, even children that are not are not yet able to take a pencil in their hand to draw. So see how important this is on the emotional side for children. So it bridges the physical ability to allow them feel like they are artists, feel them like they are creating something beautiful, which in the end it could be or it could be not. It's also interesting to point out that you can become very good with this, and when you become very good at something that is more hard or has some physical rules that are very strict, and those are strict, then you become even more proud of yourself. Third example, Spirograph. I was already telling you how much I love Spirograph, and that really because it's not only, as we have seen before, examples of creating a creator in the sense that they make them feel like artists, and that's it, but it also allows them to create something beautiful, and this is really something remarkable. It's from 1965, and allows children to create, of course, some what's the word? It's not figurative, it's quite abstract. Okay, we also can recall some toys that have the shapes of animals, shapes of letters and whatever, but this is not the case. This is the case where they have to just go around and round and round with the pen. They can use different colors, and what comes out, it might not look like a dog or a horse or something that they can recognize, but it definitely triggers their imagination. It triggers their self-esteem. Okay, well, because they create something that they really want to show off. They really want to go to their parents and say, look what I've done. How beautiful is that? So how powerful can be a set of plastic? This is really something that makes me think as a designer, because it's something really cost efficient. It's something very powerful on the emotional side. It's something that can be even improved. They can buy new sets, they can create more things. and it's not figurative, it's abstract. And this is also something nice. It's good if we believe that things that are abstract can be beautiful even on a higher age range. Then we have the Tinker toy. Of course, this is the first toy that works like this with joints. At that time, they were wooden joints. The Tinker toy is from 1913, very old as well. But look, still, we already had examples of what you can build. We can see the dog, we can see the jet plane, we can see the log truck, we can see the windmill. It's the very first example, the very first toy that allowed children to use their imagination and their hands in this way. What I want to point out on this is another important aspect of those toys that have made the history of toys. It's the feature of being on trend. It's the feature of having managed to achieve the objective of being tuned with what was happening in that moment of history. And what was happening at that time, it was the expansion of the industrial world. It was the you know, they just did it was the times of the Universal Expositions. The Tour Eiffel was there, has been there for a few years. So there was a lot of you know, excitement about the technology, the excitement about the possibilities of industrialization. Okay. Another example is the I want to feature is the Lincoln Logs. This is from 1924. This is another cool example, even though we might say, oh yes, it's you know, it's building the logs, and we have the. But if we see it on the perspective of a child, what is for a child is a way to build a house in an accessible way from 3 years up. Okay, so it's on the emotional side. This is amazing. It's amazing. We might not like the house itself. We might not like the forest style or something, but it's very remarkable, because in this way they can really feel like they are creating a house. They feel like architects, and they can live this house. They can use action figures once they have built a house, so they can also make pretend play. So very powerful. Then we see the Mr. Potato Head. Of course, now Mr. Potato Head is made of plastic, mainly for safety reasons. But still, when Potato Head was invented, this emotional potential, this emotional power was really to make children believe that something that that is not animated, something that is not living, an object can become something living. Here we have, today we have many examples of this. But yes, that was very powerful, and made the children feel like inventor, feel like they are giving life to something that is not living. For example, I like very much the googly eyes. I think all of you know what's googly eyes. It's sticky eyes that can move into a little plastic valve. And you can basically put it anywhere, and anything can become a character. So you can invent characters, you can give life to anything you want. And this is very powerful on the emotional side. Okay, then we enter in the third transform category. The third transform category is called creating a nurturer. I'm gonna tell you the story of the teddy bear. Teddy bear is from the early years of the 20th century, 1903. At that time, the president of the United States, Roosevelt, was drawing the line in Mississippi. So he was going in the hoods with his fellows, with the and sometimes they were doing bear hunting, of course. Okay, because bear hunting at that time was an important part of his hobbies. What happened? It happened that his cooperators, his his people that was with him in the hunting session, just because he was the president, they managed to find a horse and almost kill this horse and tie him on a tree and waiting for the president to kill the horse, the bear. And for Roosevelt, that was something that not acceptable. He said, I don't want to do this because this is not remarkable of a man that has courage, that is courageous, that is supposed to be brave, that is supposed to be good. So he saved his life, basically. He didn't accept to kill this bear that was tied on a tree. Then what happened afterwards is that the press reported this, what happened, as the President Roosevelt was actually saving the life of a little bear. So a bear that was little. And this was really transforming the story into something even more powerful on the emotional side. People was perceiving the president as a good man that saved the life to a little bear. Okay. So what happened afterwards? It happened that this guy wrote to the president Roosevelt, and he said, "Dear President, I ask your permission to use your name for a toy." And the president replied, "Yes, I mean, why not? If you want to do it, just go for it." And that's where the teddy bear was born. So Teddy comes from Teddy Roosevelt, and that's why it's called teddy bear. And the teddy bear play pattern is really related to the nurturing. The teddy bear is a non-living object, which in the fantasy of children is a living one. So it needs their taking care, their nurturing. It has a personality because every teddy bear really lives in the fantasy of a child. So very powerful, very, very powerful. Second example, Cabbage Patch Kids, another big part of history, but here we are in the 80s. You see, here we have a story as well, and the story has been crafted. Okay, the story is that those kids are born in this Babyland General Hospital, and this gives a sense of reality to the toy. Okay, so children say, "Oh, okay, it's a real hospital, so they really need, they really exist." Okay, and they feel like they have to adopt them. Okay. See how also the hands are in this position, so they are in need. They have those bright eyes and big eyes, so they are really calling for the help of children. Okay. Beside this, we have to point out also the quality of the toy, which wasn't there before, the lifelike details, and the fact that on the emotional side, children then they could feel like parents. Of course, we already had the dolls. Those are very ancient toy category, but here we also had this sense of adopting, okay, of saving somehow, which is also a feature that we find in the pound puppies from 1985. Yes. And this is a similar play pattern on the emotional side, because it's not about adopting a child, but it's about rescuing a puppy. So the story here was that they were coming directly from the pound, and the children could feel they were saving the life of those puppies. Okay, so they could feel really like saviors. They could feel like they were nurturing those dogs, and not less important, they could own a dog, which is something that wasn't available for anybody. Think about the people, families that were living in big cities like New York, having of course, all children love dogs. All children are asking to have dogs to their parents. This was the possibility also for the parent to give a dog without the involvement and the commitment that a real dog would need, and space, and everything. But what do we want to at this point say that the nurturing category is only for girls? No. We have an examples from the 60s of what is like, from the 50s, sorry, of what is like also to have a nurturing toy for boys. And that's the Uncle Milton's ant farm. The Uncle Milton's ant farm had real ants, okay, that were eating this food that was inside. What is important to say on the social side is that probably for boys to be at that times, at least, to feel like a nurturer wasn't that it could be perceived a bit strange in some social contexts. But when we see when this toy created the imaginary that children were really feeling like farmers. Okay, so they were farmers, they weren't nannies. Okay, they were workers, and they could take care about those ants. Okay, it was socially acceptable. Okay, and also dads could play with their children to this game. So really revolutionary. This also applies to the Tamagotchi. Tamagotchi, I think all of us remember it. I remember it. It's from the 90s, and it was everybody can remember it. It was everywhere. All children were playing Tamagotchi, and Tamagotchi is really a nurturing a toy into the nurturing category. Okay, but it's a technological. The revolution of the Tamagotchi is basically related to the fact that it was little. It wasn't a big size. It wasn't a teddy bear. It was something very little, and this was saving space. Okay, it was portable. Very important for a toy. It was portable, so the children can bring it at school, for example. And this created, I can remember at school, not a few problems. Here, probably today we have the same problem with mobile phones. And it was saving resources. Okay, it was like we still make the example of the dog. A real dog, a real puppy, a real animal is a big commitment. You have to feed him. You have to bring it out. It creates mess. It bites the pillows and so forth. Here you had no mess. Okay, it was small, so it was cost efficient. It was accessible. It had the right price range, and it really was powerful on the emotional side. because the little character was really expressing the behavior of what the could be the real temperament of a living feature. And this was really revolutionary at that time, thanks to technology. It was for both genders, and this is important to say, and created mastery. You had to be good. Okay, it created that kind of engagement that it's necessary to become master, because eventually if you didn't take care of him, he would die. So very interesting, very interesting. Okay, last but not least, the last category is creating an emulator. Creating an emulator is a very important category. It's for both genders, and it's very old. Let's first talk about the Barbie. The Barbie was invented in 1959. The power of the Barbie on the emotional side is that it was connecting with the aspiration of little girls. At that times, women weren't that allowed to work. They weren't really allowed to think about their career. They weren't really allowed to dress like they wanted to. Okay, there was really they were really limited on this side. So the possibility for little girls to have a toy that could bring them their fantasies, it was really gave the possibility, in this case for the creator of the Barbie and for the company Mattel, to provide a positive role model, a role model of a woman that has the power of her life on her life, that could promote the potential of each person, of each girl, okay, to the best positive direction. And this is something very remarkable. I also want to underline something else about the Barbie. Another very important feature of the Barbie toy, it's the ability to be regenerative. It's the ability to be tuned with how the world is changing. That's one of the main reasons why Barbie, we still have Barbie today, is because Barbie has managed to change over time. We had the Dr. Barbie, we have the Barbie that goes into space, pretty much everything. As the world is changing, Barbies are changing, and the aspirational models are changing. So very, very powerful. But what happens when in the early 2000, that bra came out, and bra to be different. So there was a focus much more stronger on the teens wannabes. They had edgier features. They were multi-race. They could dress more attractive, and this was in a way stressing in a good way the emotional emulators needness of little girls to play with those toys. Okay, they had personas because the company created personas for those dolls, and they had attitudes. And this is something we could judge or no compared to Barbie, but still it's not definitely negative, and it was something that created a real blockbuster in the industry. But what about boys? Boys, they also have emulation toys. This is Army Man from the 50s. All children like like army men. Even my nephews like it, that's because in this pretend play setting, little boys can experience the bravery, they can experience the battles, they can really create battles, they can even fight with the fictional enemies. Okay, they can feel the power, they can use the tank, they can use the different weapons. Very, very interesting. Very, very powerful. What was the evolution? The evolution next was G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is from 1964. And in this case, what was the big revolution? The big revolution that the G.I. Joe made is the possibility to move parts, the possibility to create poses. And this was working very precisely on the realism of the fantasy that children were experiencing. Okay, they could go closer to their fantasy of feeling like warriors. Okay, they had real clothes, they had accessories, they had a real rifle and everything. So everything that was bringing the child closer to their fantasy was working very, very good, and of course very, very good also on sales. Of course, I couldn't avoid to feature the Masters of the Universe, one of my favorites when I was little. That's from 1980s. And here, there's a difference between this one and the previous one, because here we have a story, a precise story. It's a good example of what it's like to create an action figure toy that is sustained by a good storytelling. Okay. We all can feature, not in this presentation, but we can also feature the example of Star Wars. When George Lucas wrote Star Wars, even before the movie was out in cinemas, he already had thought that there had to be a collection of action figures, and this really makes us think about this, because he had in mind that a big part of the business was the sale of toys. Now, for today, we know that many toy brands are using this formula. We can see it with the wings. We can see it with many licenses out there. Okay, so the difference was that they were more action oriented. Probably some of you can recall that the character could flip, turn, and then do like it was hitting or something like that. And that was really putting, again, closer the child to the fantasy of really act like that character, really have the power, really feel like that heroes, okay, and be the ones that were giving life to those heroes to fight against the evil. Okay, this is also very valuable. It's connected to the story, of course. But what happens in the 1984? In 1984, Transformers are born, and of course, I also love Transformers. They, beside the possibility to fight, they also had the possibility and move. They also had the possibility to transform from vehicles to robots. And there were multiple types, and the children had also to be good at doing this transformation. So look how complex and how beautiful is this point of view on toys. We don't only have this main category of creating an emulator, of allowing the kid to to do the play life activity with the story behind. We also have a mastery play pattern here. They also have to be good in creating this transformation. This, of course, was involving the social engagement. It was involving the possibility for children to really feel good and then make the role play. Okay. 1988, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, another big blockbuster, very interesting story. I suggest everybody of you to watch the Netflix series that is called The Toys That Made Us. It's interesting to see this story because it really teaches us how a simple story, even a story that is not appropriate for children at the beginning, with the right fine tune, with the right suggestions, with the right setting and the right design, even on the storytelling side, it can become a blockbuster. The reason why Ninja Turtles became so successful is that they were on one hand they were of course fictional characters, but they had this teenage attitude. They were eating pizza, they were making wisecracks, they were talking like surfers, they were loving music, they were cool. So they really, like in the Bratz, they were really putting the child closer to what was their real the real life. Okay. They were relevant as a persona for boys. Okay, just like it's relevant for a little child, the persona of a teddy bear or of a doll. So they were teens, like the players, but they were also heroes. Very cool, very cool. And last but not least, I want to feature also the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from 1993. Those are also part of the history of toys, and that's because, differently from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they weren't only teenagers, but they were real teenagers. So look how even closer to the real life of children. But they were also secretly, they were warriors at once. And the toy was able to do this transformation with the head flipping over. They could transform on one or the other. Okay. So what also was very powerful here, that they were together, they were a team, like the Ninja Turtles before. But this was an important part. This was very much very much space in the stories, in the films that we have seen on the TV. There was teamwork, there was loyalty, there was the sense of victory over evil. So this social fabric was very much designed and pursued in the story. They were superhero, but they were also kind of hero. You could find it was realistic that children could think maybe that guy is a Power Ranger and I don't know. Okay, wow. Okay, presentation is over. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope this was interesting for you. So now I guess I have to stop the sharing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was wonderful presentation, Fabio. I think you took us through the history of how toys have evolved, how it has pretty much shaped societies in terms of how the toy industry has impacted kids as well. Do you see a difference in terms of how it has impacted kids and how kids respond as part of a social structure? In terms of 80s kids, with a few toys, 50s kids or 70s kids, 90s kids, and the kids of the new millennium. So
I have to say no. I have to say no, because when it comes to emotional needness, I think what we have seen here is mostly the fact that the emotional triggers, emotional play patterns, play patterns that are working on the emotional side are very powerful in a way that they last a long time. Okay, this is also the power of stories. Okay, this is the power also of storytelling, and this is of course talking about the licensing industry, which is very powerful. Everybody in the toy industry knows that the licensing is a big industry, and that's because stories are acting on the social part of children. So children, we know that they are very good at feeling like their favorite characters. But when those characters are involving values, when they have a persona that is crafted perfectly and with all the details, that really is powerful. Okay, we have licenses today that have been conceived 50 years ago or more. So this gives the sense that of how powerful is the storytelling. Back to your question, I have to say I feel that today we are still using those play patterns. Of course, we are children are into the era of technology, so they also are interacting. They are playing video games with those stories. Those play patterns are evolving. Are as evolving is the technological and the social context that we are living, basically.
So, the second question was also related to what you touch upon um, in your answer. What do you think is going to be the impact of AI on and upcoming emerging technologies on toy design itself, and how is it going to change or transform the field?
I think AI, as long as what I have seen so far, AI is mainly used to, we can see it this way. Do you remember when I was speaking about how characters along the years managed to go closer to the fantasy of children? Okay, we can see it the same way. AI is creating smart robots that are putting children closer to the fantasy that character really exists. And I think this is the real power of AI today. The possibility to bring those characters alive and interactive. So it's a good point. It's a good point. Thanks to let me see it this way, because it really is happening this. It
But
really is.
are these emerging technologies? Do you think it's going to alter the way kids are going to interact with toys, and then probably age them not age them faster, but age them in a different tangent?
Sorry, I didn't get the last word. Sorry.
Technology as such, when they interact, are these toys are they going to change the way they look at the world and their contribution or their association with the world itself?
I don't think we have to be, scared of technology, to be scared of how the world is changing. Of course, the world is changing, but I think what we have seen in this presentation is that the very core of the play comes from really deep. Okay, it comes from really deep emotional needs of the child, really deep social needs of the child. So even if the technology is going to create one day a toy that we can really define alive, still that being alive is connected to the nurturing, is connected to a play category that is the same exact emotional category as the doll from Egypt, the doll from the, you know, from 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago. The emotional category is the same. Technology can just do this. It can just put the child closer to its fantasy, unless they will create something that is even more pushing in a different direction. But at this time, I can't say. But I would say, let's be open. Let's be open, as long as we manage to promote positive roles in the society, positive thinking. That we have to be open. We cannot stop technology. We have to go with technology and be happy that it exists and it can change in better our lives.
In the various projects that you've actually worked on with different companies, different brands, has there been a brief which is out of the normal, brief which has excited you, pushed you into a different direction in terms of interpreting toys?
Well, I think my one of the aspects that had made that has created my vision on toys is my passion for what toys can do, beside what toys can look like. So when when you feel me so enthusiastic about the storytelling, is that because storytelling is so powerful in engaging children. But this doesn't mean that I'm not into education. A proof of this, an example of this, is that a few years ago, I have created an independent line of toys for adults to work on the adult issues which are in the specific of this collection. They are dedicated to adults that have problems of addiction. Of course, we are not speaking about this with children. We have to speak about this on adults. But I think it's a good example of how I am driven by the possibility to make toys, you know, make a difference somehow. Make a difference.
Last question, which is there a market for toys for adults? But I guess your example was more specific in terms of addiction and stuff. But adults who want, in some times of trauma, who wants to feel like kid, who want to play, relive that part. Is that an area that the industry would be able to mature into? Are you, as toy designers, pitching that idea in the first place to companies?
You know, I wish I could have the power to change the market, but the truth is that when you create something innovative, if you don't have a consumer that is ready for that innovation, that is very it requires some efforts from the company, some efforts to make consumers understand what this toy can do, how this toy is different. And that's the main reason why toy companies are always going in the same play categories, just maybe changing a little bit. But that's because, of course, they are companies. They are doing business. They have to make business because that's their goal, their main goal. So they have to create innovation, but they prefer to take a direction, take a road that is safer, that creates less risk. I don't want to say that there are no companies that are going in this direction. I'm happy to say that today there are companies, there are also some Italian brands that are going in this direction, on the direction of life skills, in the direction of a different approach on education. And I'm a big supporter of that. So I think things are changing from a few years now. We have seen also on the market board games on yoga, board games on mindfulness, which is something that we didn't have before. It was too risky. But the reason why we have those collections now is the very best proof that the world is changing. And companies are changing with the world. They are understanding that the cultural context is changing. So they are trying to give those answers right in this spot.
Wonderful, wonderful. I would really be interested in being part of one of those ventures where if toys are designed for adults and probably even toys for older citizens, aged citizens, that will be quite an interesting part to work on. With this, we'd come to a closure of the session in itself. Thank you very much, Fabio, for a extremely interesting take on history, walking us through the evolution of toys, how it impacted emotion, how it impacted kids and the society they are a part of, and for the wonderful explanations and for answering all our questions.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
Thank you very much. We would love to have you around on campus in India, host you back in India sometime very soon in the future. On behalf
hopefully in the future will be possible.
Yeah. On behalf of ADW and UID, it was a privilege having you with us today. Thank you very much for the session.
Okay.
On this note, we come to an end of the speaker session at Ahmedabad Design Week 2.0. I would like to thank Univation for this incredible work behind the scene in putting together this event. UID for taking the initiative to host the event, supported by iHub, Government of Gujarat, and all other partner institutions. I'm grateful to my team, Timsi, Kriti, Meera, Shweta, Zankruti, Kishori, Ankita, for supporting me in organizing these sessions for the third and the final day. I also thank the hosts of the previous days, Anahita, Abrojit, Sambit, Taruna, Aditya, and all for making this event successful. I also thank Sri Ritesh Hadaji, President, Karnavati University, Colonel Surojit Bose, Director, Academic and International Collaboration, for giving us this opportunity and giving us this platform to host this event. We shall take a break now and come back at 4 p.m. for the valedictory session. I hope all of you all will be there. We'll see you then. And thank you very much.
Thanks for the invitation. Take care, everybody.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye-bye.